Hello everyone, welcome back to another episode. I am JB and joining me is Mark Marsh.
Hey everybody.
So we've got a bit of an interesting topic today, potentially controversial, but it's does the real supernatural have a place within Scooby-Doo? Part of the reason why I wanted to address this is all the controversy over the years about Return to Zombie Island, retconning Zombie Island and stuff like that. But also there's a pretty good video, I don't know if you've seen it, Mark, by Scoobytopia, who reviewed the trilogy, the new trilogy of Scooby-Doo movies, Happy Halloween, Curse of the 13th, and Return to Zombie Island. And that touches quite a bit on why that there's no supernatural elements anymore. But other than that, I'll leave that linked in the description. You don't necessarily need to watch that to enjoy this episode, but I do recommend it. Now, Mark, what is your opinion? Are you against supernatural? Are you for supernatural? Like, where do you fall in on the
I'm
schism?
I'm for supernatural because I feel like if you're gonna solve mysteries, at least have some type of supernatural element in it. Like when I watched Supernatural season one, I feel like it was the most creepiest season there was because it was more like dark towards creeping the audience out. And I felt like if Scooby Doo was like that, it would be so much more better for the adult audience. Because look at the dark tones that we had to grow up with during Scooby Doo's time. And I feel like after the 2000s is when they started to go more PG. But before that, they were very strict on like, okay, ghosts are real, monsters are real, and they've shown that. They've shown ghosts are real with Scooby and Shaggy teaming up with the Boo brothers. We also have Reluctant Werewolf, Real Monsters, because that film just shows a lot. We had the Ghoul School with all monsters. And then we had the new Scooby Doo movies where pretty much those were like hit and miss, but had their own real elements of supernatural vibes. So it definitely did well for the audience sake.
Even in
And
the Goblin King, yeah.
even if they were people in costumes, they could still lead the build up as creepy. Like they could still make it with the same suspense as a typical horror movie,
Yeah.
by still having a flashy outcome. It regardless if they show it as a real ghost or not, I just feel like it has to be creepy enough to feel like a horror movie for me. And I feel like supernatural stuff does that for me. Like I sit there watching it for hours. Like I watched all the supernatural episodes, and I even loved the crossover they did with Scooby-Doo, which is a perfect example. And I'm so glad because I feel like they chose the right episode.
100%.
I feel like they could have chose any episode, but they chose that one. I was like, yes, because that's my most favorite episode from that season. It's like it's the most creepiest one. I feel like the first season of Scooby Doo, Where Are You is the creepiest because it's the background music that leads up to stuff as well that creeps you in, and
Yeah,
just
just the atmosphere,
it's
like
the
just
atmosphere, the suspense.
like all that background stuff is so
It's like
good.
it makes you know you feel it on your skin like you're there, and
Because
it's a
I
whole new
couldn't watch
level.
Scooby-Doo as a kid for the longest time in terms of like what's like where are you? Like I could always tell which Scooby-Doo I could watch and couldn't watch by the intro. Like when I was like really, really small, I was always told that if there was the what's new in the where are you intro, probably wouldn't like it in terms of like I'd be scared. But if it was the what's new intro, I'm good to go. So yeah, there was
Yeah,
definitely a
because
bit more of a darker tone back then.
it's like they chose the right episode. I feel like okay, there's some other episodes they could have gone with the backstage rage. They could have done with a serial killer, creepy puppet master, but they chose not a fright is no delight. It's like they chose that one specifically because as a kid watching it on TV, in your mind, they've all been taken out one by one, like mafia style hit. Like they're dead until the very end, and it looks like they've been killed, but they haven't. It's like they really build up the suspense for that because it feels like you're being taken out one by one. And I feel like with Supernatural's take on it, they actually did all die. So I feel like supernatural stuff does work, but I feel like it has to be executed properly and not rushed into it. I feel like if Supernatural took over that department of Scooby Doo and done the episodes with alongside with them, I'll definitely want to see a season.
Mhm.
Hands down, I would love to see a season of the Supernatural take mixed with Scooby Doo. give us 10 episodes and see what the fans think. And I feel like most people would enjoy it.
Yeah, here's my thing. I'm kind of neutral about this, being from not a non-purist background necessarily, although I definitely am, but from more of a I take things as they are. Like I'm not bogged down with Scooby-Doo canon, like this is canon, that's not canon, like this is how this should be. To me, I approach every single new Scooby-Doo project as its own thing, unless it's specified that this is a sequel to that, and things like that. So my issue isn't necessarily supernatural or non-supernatural, but it's the forced either supernatural or non-supernatural. So, for instance, a lot of this video from Scoobytopia puts a lot of the blame on Jim Krieg, and it's difficult. And he's your best friend, as we know. It's difficult to agree with that, to disagree with that take. Although I don't think it's 100% on Jim Krieg. He definitely is a driving force, as he told us both directly, in terms of he did definitely want to retcon it because he personally thought that Scooby Doo shouldn't be supernatural. Now, my issue isn't that. If he wanted to make 10 movies where there were no supernatural elements, 1,000,000% I'm there. As long as the story is good, the execution's good, and the writing's good, I really don't mind. My thing is with this whole debate is when you try and take something that was supernatural and twist it into non-supernatural, then it's like,
Yes.
well, okay, I know what you're trying to do. I know what your values are, and I respect them. But at the same time, I mean, and it could have been a studio mandate. I'm not saying that, but like nobody is asking you to make another Zombie Island. It's you've chosen to make a sequel to a supernatural story. You make a sequel to a
Yeah.
supernatural story, kind of need to make it a supernatural sequel.
Yeah.
You
So you
know.
can't, just because you don't like Supernatural doesn't mean you take a Supernatural movie, do a sequel, and then devalue everything that's what made the movie unique. Zombie Island is probably the best Scooby Doo movie in terms of supernatural elements because it had everything done correctly. Zombies, for starters, okay,
Yeah.
terrifying, especially the way they look back then. Like they look very terrifying. It's not like the zombie they did in Return to Zombie Island that looked like paper mache. They actually spent ages on the details, especially when their skin goes, especially from the werecats when their skin went and it went all down to the
Oh, that
bones.
was like a core memory for
I
me, all
was
that
like,
as a
I
kid.
was like,
Like,
this is a Scooby Doo, and they went that far with it. I was like, you know, that's what I'm expecting if it's a sequel, like the same level of commitment, not something that's like, okay, let's just make this a kid-friendly approach by letting everybody know none of this is real. You telling me that they all just hallucinated this stuff? How? How can everyone hallucinate the same thing? We all hallucinate different stuff. If we were stuck in a desert, you might see an oasis. I won't. Where is this oasis? I don't see nothing. We can't hallucinate the exact same stuff. It's impossible.
yeah, unless they had one of those like Five Nights at Freddy's hallucination things, it's just crazy. And that's the thing. Now, I don't think, if he was so into super, like non-supernatural, a part of me wants to believe, because in terms of disagreeing or agreeing with his values, and I think even you'll attest to this, being in a Zoom call with him, he's actually a really, really nice bloke. He wasn't standoffish or rude. He was really generous with his time and actually quite friendly to speak to. So I've got enough belief in him that he wouldn't actively go, let's, change Zombie Island. I think it's more of a case as the studio would have gone, okay, this is a big anniversary year. Zombie Island is a big name that will make money, so it's your job to make a Zombie Island sequel however you want. And I do believe he did go the wrong way with that. But ultimately, I think it was more of a studio saying Zombie Island will make money, go make us some money type thing, off of the name of
Yeah,
Zombie Island.
because was that the video where I pointed out that Returns on Island was a mistake?
Yeah.
Yeah,
And that
yeah,
was
okay.
right because, again, like I say, he was given a job to do to make the studio money. And I suspect he did succeed in that because of Zombie Island being Zombie Island. It's going to have that name value. Like,
I did loads of reaction videos to that. And as soon as I saw Returns on Island, I was like, Yes, I did about 9 reaction videos, talked a bit about it. I brought up the hype on that, and then as soon I even got it on digital,
Yeah.
I pre-ordered it on physical. I watched it and I was like, oh, I wish I recorded my reaction to watch it the first time because I was just like, it felt someone stabbed me in the chest.
But it was a genius marketing ploy in a way, because this was before we were in the Scooby community. Me and Millie were still making Animal Crossing videos, and we went to a local Asda, and we saw two DVDs on this, or three DVDs actually, that was Scooby. The Scoob movie, Happy Halloween, and Return to Zombie Island. And we looked at Return to Zombie Island, and we were like, shall we watch it, or do you think it will break our heart? Because we kind of knew, but we were so tempted to go back into the Scooby community before all of this, just because it was another zombie island. So without a shadow of a doubt, I think money wise, not review wise, that will probably have been one of the more successful DTVs. But it's just when you're given a job to do, like I don't know, I feel
And
there should be some pride in
it
that.
shows how much I hate it because I've said this. I would rather watch Scrappy Doo on repeat than watch Return to Zombie Island. And I've only ever seen Return to Zombie Island twice, and I will never see it again. I thought, okay, I watched the first time, put me in a bad mood. Let me watch it again. No, it made me worse about myself. I'd rather watch Scrappy Doo, and now I put on Scrappy Doo. It's like, yeah, there's something worse than Scrappy Doo. It's Return to Zombie Island. I was like, it didn't feel like my childhood. It didn't feel like it brought back any nostalgia when I saw it. I was like, he couldn't even do the werecats right. The zombies, I don't know what he was doing with that. I was like, really?
It
You
did
call those
seem a
zombies?
bit malicious, right? Because I've just thought to myself, again, you're gonna make a sequel to a supernatural movie, you make it supernatural. And I stand by that in terms of, or in terms of a fan perspective. But actually, there could have been a way, not that it would have surpassed the original or even been as good as what we did get, but I do think there was even a way to make a non-supernatural sequel, and that simply have this type of thing where they were on the hunt for this real estate. Maybe somebody wanted Moonscar Island because they wanted that land now that it was like abandoned on the cheap type thing. I think they could have made it that way. Like they were real zombies, there were real werewolves and werecats, but these people are trying to scare anyone off the land so that they can open up something. Again, I don't think that that would have been good. It's not what people would have wanted from a Zombie Island sequel. But if they
No,
just had that simple story, it maybe could have worked. But
I
the
was
fact that the plot went to
I
go
was
back and
thinking something
change
like that.
stuff, you
Yeah,
know.
because I was really hoping they would do something, I don't know, original instead of copying something that's been used so many times. I was really hoping that there was like another curse, a third werecat or fourth one that we never knew about, and they set the gang up to get their revenge. That's what I was hoping because they got lured there on a vacation, and I was like, okay, if they're gonna do that, at least have like a fourth werecat setting us up for revenge, because that would be even more hardcore and having new zombie victims to at least somewhat help in that. Because the zombies from the first one wanted to help the people instead of eat their brains out like most zombies would, and the werecats was a true villains. So that they could have done like a revenge arc, but instead they've done some half-ass over some treasure that turned out to be fake. I was like, one, we knew there was not going to be no treasure because the sisters stole the treasure in the first place. They killed the pirates, so why would they keep the treasure buried? Wouldn't use it to build up their foundation and their plantation, which they explained that in the movie. So all they know there's no treasure, and even if the pendulum as well, why would that be left there when it would have been clearly taken as evidence? And
Because
then there was the
Bo,
lost tape.
the see, it's so weird because the only character that they don't call back to in the sequel, is Bo the detective, and a lot of these things he would have sorted out,
Yeah,
directly after the events of that movie. So it's interesting that they kind of have selective retconning as far as that's concerned. I mean,
and
to be
he
honest,
was there. He's an eyewitness. He saw it
I'm
all happen. He saw the zombies, the werecats, the
I'm almost
destruction.
differing slightly in terms of I would have been very dissatisfied, but I would have accepted a mediocre DTV of returning to Moonscar Island because somebody wanted to find the treasure. Even if it was fake treasure, real treasure, it would have been just a mediocre sequel. And I think where it changes is where we've got Velma saying, "Oh, it was an unsolved mystery. We need to go back there because that didn't make sense. It wasn't solved." And then, "Oh, all of that was just swamp gas." I think there was no need for that.
That I was like, how does swamp gas do that?
Like a mediocre treasure hunt on Zombie Island, I can fine. It's a crap DTV. It's like Mystery Map. It's a DTV, not for me. Yeah, it was a bit sneaky with the naming, but ultimately I'd have just gone, oh, okay, that kind of happened. But it was just, I just don't understand that forced non-supernatural attitude that all of that trilogy had. And it just baffles me because again, I don't mind non supernatural stuff. I don't mind supernatural stuff. It's just I would prefer for them to do what was best for the story as opposed to what fit in best with what executives or even creatives thought at the time.
Yeah, because they did the exact same excuse on the last one as well. What was it? The one that came at the Curse of the 13th Ghost with being hallucinated on high altitude. And I was like, how was that's never been proven?
Like, I'm,
Where's the science?
like they're at the stage now where they could make like they could make loads of money from people even in the community because we're going to want to review stuff, we're going to want to get stuff just by doing that. Though that's ridiculous, like the same thing each time. Imagine Scooby-Doo, the return of the witch's ghost. They go back to
Oh,
Oakhaven. Velma, this didn't make sense last time. Oh, I knew it. It was like pumpkin gas that made us hallucinate. Oh, it was the scarecrow.
oh,
Like he made us hallucinate all that time, and this is really the last part of the trilogy. Finally, the spirit of Oakhaven, the case of Oakhaven, is finally solved. It was all just a hallucination.
I'm like, if they did a sequel to Witch's Ghost, Ben Ravenclaw's still in the book with Sarah Ravenclaw, so they could be re-let out. How do you explain his disappearance? You saw him get sucked into the book, Velma. Like you were there.
Wow, it was
If
just
I
a dream.
if I saw someone get sucked into a magical book, I wouldn't be hallucinating. I would say I witnessed something impossible right now, clear as day. Like, what drugs do you think I'm on to see this? The only other explanation, if they say all the gang took crack or ecstasy, that's the only way they can
Yeah,
explain
they could
that.
make it like canon to James Gunn's
Yeah,
universe. Have him like just all in like passing the Dutchie in the mystery machine. Like it's all
it's
man.
why I say the true sequel to Zombie Island is Witch's Ghost. Hands down, that's the true sequel. I don't consider Return to Zombie Island a sequel. I feel like it ruins the whole supernatural franchise, and I feel like if they ruin Alien Invaders, I'll be done with Warner Bros. Because honestly, what are we gonna do? Fake aliens? No, that was definitely crystal. What are we gonna do? Say, oh, they faked it so they could turn down Shaggy and Scooby without upsetting them, mate. That was the
Oh
full love
god, I can
triangle.
actually see that being the explanation though.
Yeah, they're like,
That's
oh,
ridiculous.
we didn't want to hurt your feelings,
Yeah.
so we
Oh,
made
so
out
yeah,
we
we
were
made up
aliens
the
there. To,
alien
yeah,
conspiracy.
made a whole conspiracy to
Jeez.
break up with someone. No one would do that.
No, that's actually crazy. I can imagine that. That's ridiculous. But his that's that. What perplexes me though is we've mentioned that supernatural crossover a lot, and it isn't like that came out in the early 2000s when Zombie Island and all that was coming out, although that was like 1998. But you know, that era, that Mook animation era, it's not even that we're talking about a golden age that had passed. We got Scooby Natural relatively recently, and that was also overseen by Jim Krieg. So it and that had real supernatural stuff. So it's so weird that he gets up the most of the blame for it, and he's even admitted as much to having those values in front of us, and yet he is single-handedly, well, not single-handedly, because obviously there was Jeremy Adams and all of that, but he's pretty much overseen one of the best supernatural Scooby-Doo things of recent years as well. It's a bit confusing.
It's just sort of annoying that they're trying to slowly ruin Supernatural Scooby-Doo.
Like, I don't know what order it happened in, but imagine, right? We've just seen Scooby Natural, and then they announced that the same person that worked on that is going to be working on a Zombie Island sequel. Bro, the hype would be
The
over the
hype would
roof.
be unreal.
Yes, someone that understands how to perfectly balance dark tones with family-friendly tones is working on it. Someone that
Because
can perfectly balance supernatural with Scooby-Doo stuff is working on it. This is perfect. Like,
oh, the only downside is they can't go and redo it. They can't say,
yeah.
right, okay, we finally understand Return of the Island sucked. We're gonna redo it. If they're gonna redo it, there's only one option left for them to redeem themselves. Do a live action Scooby Doo on Zombie Island.
Yes, that's what I'm
And then we'll be
saying.
happy.
Live action Zombie Island with the
All your
main
sins will be
cast
forgiven.
of the 2002 Monsters Unleashed movie. Because that was all about them growing up. They've moved on from the gang, but they're still kind of together.
Yeah,
That's perfect. You could do that.
they
I
could
can even
definitely
imagine Freddie
do.
Prinze Jr. running around with a camera like, oh, Sarah Michelle Gellar.
Because you think, what was it? The Five Nights at Freddy's had a $20 million budget that
Oh,
turned
yeah.
out fantastic. Mate, that's all you need. You got this. Warner Bros. You could spare 20 million. You've been wasting it on Return to Zombie Island and there's other
Because
stuff.
think
Like
about what you
you got
need.
the
All
money.
you need is a couple of glam shots of an island. But then ultimately, there's a bit of bayou, there's a plantation house, and a
Yeah.
cave. Not a
And that's
lot,
all. It's not a
really.
lot to work with, no.
Like, for all it had a big impact, they could do it pretty cheaply and still make it look good.
I feel like they could definitely make it look real good. And I feel like a live action is the only way to save it. I
Oh,
feel like
I'd love that
because
so much. I'd
Return to the
cry.
Island is just hideous to look at. I hate it. The fact I have it on my collection because I got to otherwise it'd be an incomplete set. It still annoys me. I feel like I'll hate it one day if they release a Blu-ray for it. I'll just end up losing everything because I really don't want to see it on a Blu-ray, but I know it's going to happen. I have a strange feeling it is.
I want them to release the 2002 movie on 4K.
Yeah,
Bro,
because that I'll buy that instantly. I don't have a 4K player, but I'll
I,
buy it.
I'd buy a 4K player just to watch that.
I'll
Like, that's
buy it, take
crazy.
around my mates and watching this 4K player.
I'd have to watch it alone. I couldn't watch it with
Because
other
I
people.
just recently, last year, I switched to Blu-ray because I've been doing nothing
Mm.
but DVDs up until that point, and I was like, oh, you know what? Blu-rays are now cheap, pretty much £1.50 from Kex. So now I switched all my media, about 550 DVDs. I'm switching over to Blu-ray.
Yeah, I've still not done that. Like, I'm still buying the regular DVDs. Like, I got the Guardians of the Galaxy 3, Super Mario. Which was the other one that came out? Oh, Spider-Verse,
The only
even
knock a bit is
Barbie.
Scooby-Doo
Oh, that
is
on
all on
DVD.
DVD. I feel like I'm surprised they haven't released them on Blu-ray. Do
To be
like a
fair,
trial
though,
trial period.
just looking at them, which ones would be Blu-ray worthy in terms of
Zombie
how
Island.
much could you upscale it? Like, there's the core four, and I do like the What's New era, but visually, I don't think you
Well,
need them in
I feel like
Blu-ray.
if they release what's the new Scooby Doo or no, if do they release Where Are You on Blu-ray? So surely they can release everything else on Blu-ray.
That's true. Although I guess the charm in that is seeing, say, live paint in better detail,
But
potentially.
I love my Mystery Mayhem box for the Where Are You Blu-ray.
Is that the big one with like a load of bonus features on?
Yeah, it's a
Because there's
limited edition
one that
one.
I'm dying to see
It's
that
limited
supposedly
edition.
has bonus features with Kate Melton and Nick Pilates on.
Yeah, if you get them, it's
I
Where
want
Are
to
You
find
Mystery
that.
Mansion set. It was the limited edition one that they
Oh,
released for 50,000, but then they've released it again without the sticker. So my one's got issue 10,000 and something out of 50,000, but I think the new ones you get now won't have it.
Oh, see,
And my one's still sealed, unboxed. I'm
I
thinking,
just
nah,
want
I ain't
those
opening
features,
that.
you know. The last big DVD thing we got, at least for me that I got, was that that HMV box set of those
Yeah.
re-releases. I like that. It's just all of them I had already. It was just the box looked nice.
Luckily, I saw that in my HMV because I was thinking, you know what? I'm here. I'm buying it. Just take it.
Yeah. Was it like £15?
Yeah,
Something like
about the
that.
15, 20 quid.
It was all right.
But I thought I've already had them individually, but now I'm in a box set. I thought that's all I bought it for was the box.
Mm, I agree. I agree. Because all of them, and it wasn't even that they had like the nice covers as well. Well, I know you like the covers a lot better than I do, but I'm kind of more like nostalgic for that era versus the cleaner cover type thing. Like,
But
I would love to just buy snaps, the snap cases.
oh, I
If they
love
released
them
not just DVD and Blu-ray, if they just released normal DVD and snap case variant, I'd even buy both of
because
them.
it started out as snaps, and then they moved
Mm,
over to the full plastic cases. And I feel like the snap ones are so unique, and so I always look in Kex for Scooby-Doo
me
snapbacks
too.
because sometimes. But the one bit I hate is when they put their stickers on the box, and it's so hard to peel it off
Yeah,
there.
I've been trying to
And
find like ways to use
oh
sellotape to get it off, and it's
yeah, I'm just like
no.
thinking if it takes off the art, it's ruined, and I have to go
HMV
on
do the
eBay.
same thing with Funko Pops, and I don't know why. Even
I hate the
Game.
ones where they put them in those wire cases, and it's like
Jeez.
wires around the little bolts, and it creases the box set. And I'm like, I don't want that one. I always go to them. Yeah, I'm gonna be awkward, but could you get me another one at the back because this one's a pretty much dent thanks to your little contraption.
This bloody ridiculous Fred Jones trap you've got going on there.
I'm
But
just like,
yeah, I guess that kind of wraps up this topic, We've kind of had a bit of a debate, and I think it's a good discourse because genuinely I think Scooby fans could discuss this to the end of time. Oh, in fact, actually, I'll right here right now, because we're both pretty pro supernatural, like I'm more case by case basis, you love the supernatural stuff. I would invite a member of the community that doesn't like the supernatural to comment down below or get in touch with either of us on Instagram or Twitter, because I would love to debate with someone that is so against supernatural. I mean, honestly, we could even get Jim Krieg if he were to come on again for a debate like this, like a not interview, but like a debate, because I just want to pick someone's brain. Like, what's the rationale? Like, what would the
what do you hate
justification
about
be?
it?
Because I do want to respect people's opinions, but I think because we're both kind of pro supernatural, it'd be nice to get someone that is anti supernatural on the show. But yeah, comment down below what you think about all of that. If you do want to see more from us, then please like, comment, and subscribe.